what someone might be tempted to do is say that if you have this, melodic line that goes up here and it goes up right in the stratosphere, you might think, it's very hard to play in the 7th, 8th, and 9th frets on the guitar. You don't want to shift or anything. You want to keep everything in the basic position. So you might be tempted to chop off this peak and then bring it down over here, something like that. And then chop this off here and then bring it down over here. But now the problem is that we've changed the entire contour of the melody. We may have actually made it more flat like this. We may have actually flattened the curves. And the problem can be in the melody, it can actually sound kind of strange. And also that if the composer, or if you're the composer and you want it to have like a big climax up here and it rises up to these peaks, and then, some arranger comes along and chops off those peaks, then there's going to be a problem because you've kind of not respected the contour or the emotional contour of the song. Hello everyone, Brett here. Okay, so now in this video, we are going to look a little bit closer at melody. So melody, of course, is super important. If you don't have any melody in your arrangement, you won't have a song. So let's pretend that your melody goes along like this. It has some humps, and it goes down, and it goes up like this, and it may go up like this, and then come right back down like this, something like that. This is the basic shape of your melody. You've got some low notes, and then you've got some high notes. Okay, so what happens if I take some of the high notes, and I take the exact same shape, but I move it down, like say over here. So then after that, you can see I have a huge bump where it has to go straight down, and then it comes here. So the overall shape is, this was supposed to be higher up here, but now it's got brought down here. And like I can do the same thing over here. I can take this hump and put it down over here. But now the whole shape of my melody's changed a little bit. Actually, it's changed a lot. One of the problems that we have when we're arranging things for guitar is that it doesn't always play very well on the guitar. So what I mean is that we have some kind of melodies that are in, say, first position, and they work really well with our cowboy chords. But eventually we have to do and shift up into the higher positions if we want to follow the contour of this melody. But the problem, it can happen if you're going up into the higher positions, you might not be comfortable with playing the notes that are in those higher positions, and you might be tempted to bring everything down an octave. But this is like what we showed in the diagram. If you've got some things up in the higher octaves and then you suddenly bring them down like that, it can sound extremely strange in your melody. Similarly, if you have a whole part of the song, like say a whole entire chorus that is much higher than the rest of the song, this might be intentional. Like this might be because, the pre-chorus and the verse are leading up to a really high chorus that's in a higher register. And if you bring that entire chorus down an octave, it's kind of like a letdown for your whole song because you've been building people up to the chorus, but then all of a sudden if it's in like a lower key or something like that, then it comes to just be like a real big letdown for your audience. And that was the problem there in the chorus part of the Aldenoa arrangement. It was entirely brought down a whole octave. And the problem is that chorus part is supposed to be the big climax of the song. So if you bring that entire spot down an octave, it's kind of like, meh, yeah, it's kind of just the boring part. But I want to make it easier for me to play, so I play in the lower position. No, you can't do that. You have to keep the part up in the high stratosphere, so it makes the more dramatic part.
Example 1. Tennessee Waltz.
Okay, so the first example that we're going to do is the Tennessee Waltz. And if you're not familiar with it, it goes like this. So as you can see, the range is from this low C all the way to this high E. So I can say that I've kept the melody entirely in first position. I'm not going to do any shifting, but I can... The problem is that my accompaniment is going to also be very bassy. So the whole arrangement sounds kind of bassy if I do that. So if we do the Tennessee Waltz in a lower register, I can entirely write my arrangement in the low register, and it will sound pretty good, but the problem is I'm going to be limited when I want to do my bass notes.
Example 2. The Star Spangled Banner.
Alright, the next example is the Star Spangled Banner. So the Star Spangled Banner, you can, if you play it in C major, it goes from this low C all the way up to this G. But what happens if I want to play it in G major? So in G major, I'm going to have... You get the picture. So I have to go all the way up to here. And I don't have a choice, I have to do a shift. So if I change the contour of the melody and say if I'm pretending that I don't care about voice leading, and then the melody part that goes all the way up here, it's going to be transposed down an octave, so it'll sound like this. Voice leading is really the biggest problem with some of these easy guitar arrangements. The most common problem that guitarists are going to run into when they come into not doing the correct voice leading is bringing down whole sections by 1 octave. And this is what I meant in the chart. So one extreme example that we can look is at the Star Spangled Banner. So the Star Spangled Banner has quite a big contour. It starts quite low and right away it goes very high. So what happens if you play the Star Spangled Banner melody and then you bring the parts that are too high, you bring those parts down an octave? It kind of sounds pretty strange. So the Star Spangled Banner should actually sound like this. So as you can see, the changing of the register like that in the middle of the Star Spangled Banner would sound a little bit strange. So I don't think that would happen in many people's arrangements. However, some people might be tempted to bring, say, the entire second part of the Star Spangled Banner down an octave, because technically this part goes quite high. You know, you've played this part. And then it goes all the way up here. This entire B section, which is way up here, and then you have to figure that out. So people might be tempted to bring it down. Like you can say I've played, and then you have this part, something like that. But you're going to run into problems later on in the melody because you're going to have to do another octave switch when it goes to back to the original spot, unless you have, and then you end up just in the bass register like that. So it's always best to keep the original register. Luckily for us, the bass notes actually don't have to follow voice leading. You can make your bass notes jump up and down the octaves, and for our ear, it's actually not that bad. I mean, if you have lots of bass strings, then that's okay. You can play your bass notes as much as you want, and your melody can go anywhere on the guitar. But if you only have a guitar that has 6 strings, that means that you're going to have to raise some of the bass notes. And that actually sounds alright. There's a lot of solutions that you can do. Anyway, that's all I have for the video today. Make sure you click on the like button and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you in the next video.